My name is Scott Bradley, and I'm the Head of Corporate Affairs for Huawei in Canada. We are proud to be a sponsor of the event here today. We're also proud to be investing heavily in Canada in 5G research, which is in fact our most advanced communications research that we are doing around the world. That leadership in 5G is being led by a Canadian team, and in fact it's being led right here in Ottawa, so we're proud of being a real Ottawa success story. And I have the pleasure today of introducing someone who represents perhaps the biggest success story in technology and innovation here in Ottawa. I will say, I'll tell a little anecdote beforehand, is I this summer downloaded a music app on my phone, and all summer my kids have been teasing me because I'll say, hey guys, I just downloaded a wicked tune from Meatloaf on Shopify. And so they give me the gears because I guess I'm getting this wrong, but I think anybody who lives in Ottawa is getting the music app confused with Shopify because they're so familiar with the name. And I think what's happened over the past decade as we've watched the growth of this company go from being a small firm in the market that we'd start to hear little bits and pieces about to now this company that employs 1,300 people on Elgin Street is just what an innovator Shopify has become. And a huge part of that success has been our next speaker, Harley Finkelstein. Harley started his career in law in Toronto, but he's now come to Ottawa and, like many others, was attracted by the great things that are happening here in Shopify. I think many of us now have friends who've moved here from the States or from around the world to come work in Ottawa and be a part of this great success story that is Shopify. We are extremely pleased to have Harley as our keynote speaker here this morning and would like to introduce him up here on stage. Harley.
I'm not nearly as tall as Scott is, so I'm going to bring these down a little bit. And also, Scott, we got 1,500 people, not 1,200 people. Those additional 300 people is more than we had in the entire company a couple years ago, so just want to make that clear. I also picked my best black t-shirt for this event. I hope you guys notice and you appreciate it. So first and foremost, thank you so much for having me as your keynote this morning. I want to congratulate Canada 2020 on their 10-year anniversary and the 3rd annual Canada 2020 conference. This is an amazing group, of course, helping Canadians and helping Canada. And I love the idea around big ideas. And really, I had the chance to read what Mike and Hannah put out leading up to the event, the 10 big ideas for Canada. And these are huge ideas, and I love that this group in particular is excited about change. That's really the most exciting part of this entire event for me, change. At Shopify, we have this great philosophy that we call Thrive on Change. It's one of our core values, and it's truly at the heart of everything that we do. These big ideas that are being talked about through this conference and through this program got me thinking about entrepreneurs in Canada. And if you're not familiar with Shopify, we help over 325,000 entrepreneurs around the world with their big ideas. Thousands of these entrepreneurs are, of course, right here in Canada. Shopify is democratizing entrepreneurship in retail by giving small businesses the same tools that traditionally only the largest companies in the world were able to afford. And we're helping them build companies that start with an idea around their kitchen table and eventually, in some cases, turn into $100 million a year businesses. This is happening in every sector of our economy. It's getting easier and easier for entrepreneurs to innovate and make their big ideas a reality. But it wasn't always this easy. In 1956, my grandfather came to Canada during the Hungarian Revolution. In 1956, Canada had agreed to allow 40,000 Hungarian immigrants to come to the country. When my grandfather got here with no education, no working papers, the way that he was able to support himself and put a roof over my family's head and put food on the table was by starting a little business in the Jean Talon market in Montreal selling eggs. When you think about my father, about 2 decades later, who was also an entrepreneur, it wasn't really easy for him either. He had to put everything he had into one single company. He took an enormous amount of risk, and it did not work out as he had hoped. So I'm the next generation, and I got my start really early in entrepreneurship. When I was 13 years old, I wanted to be a DJ, but no one was willing to hire a 13-year-old that looked like he was 8 with no skills. And so I started my own company and hired myself. My next company I started when I was an undergrad student at McGill University selling t-shirts. My next company I started when I was in law school, where I set up a store, an online store, as one of Shopify's first customers. And the reality is that relative to my father and my grandfather, my companies were very low risk. I worked hard, I hustled hard, but I really didn't have to take out a mortgage or risk my livelihood or that of my family to try something new. And this is the world we live in today. But let's think ahead. Let's think about the next generation of entrepreneurs. They're younger, smarter, hungrier, and perhaps more importantly, they'll have access to the most affordable suite of technology and tools to scale their businesses than ever before. So the question is, if it's getting easier for everyone around the world to innovate and build new businesses and become entrepreneurs, what are we going to do differently here in Canada to ensure that Canadians do it right here at home? One thing we absolutely need to do better is inspire our next generation of Canadian entrepreneurs to get out there and hustle, try new things, take risks, and act on their big ideas. We have thousands of amazing companies right here in Canada, and we don't have to look anywhere else to be inspired. And I urge all of you, as part of your thinking around innovation, to think about how we can better celebrate Canadian success and Canadian entrepreneurs. We also need to shift how Canadians think about entrepreneurship in general. It's not a pipe dream anymore, or something you read about on the cover of a Forbes magazine. The entrepreneurial mindset is a must for the next generation. I'm sure you've heard the term, software is eating the world, and that's happening very, very fast. When you look at what's happening with machine learning or artificial intelligence, technology isn't just solving simple problems anymore. Technology itself is getting smarter. And this means that the idea of a job is going to fundamentally change. Oxford University research recently told us that almost half of today's jobs could be automated in the next 2 decades. So there is some urgency here. And as a country, we need to learn how to thrive on change, just like we do at Shopify. Our knowledge economy is being completely democratized. And in just a few years, when my now 4-month-old daughter is ready for school, she'll be able to learn anything she wants from anywhere she wants, and probably will be doing so wearing a virtual reality headset. The truth is, the traditional career path is being phased out. And if you look at the number of searches on Google for the term a safe career, what you'll see is a massive decline in results over the past 2 decades. The reason is that people don't want a safe career anymore. They want a fulfilling career. The whole concept of work is different for me than it was for my father and my grandfather. I'm lucky enough to have found my life's work during my life, whereas my dad and my grandpa had to wait until retirement to find their life's work and do their life's work. In terms of talent, when you look at technology startups alone over the last 5 years, more founders dropped out of school than actually graduated from university. That's the future. You have to think about that. The idea of talent is fundamentally changing. Talent doesn't mean you hire the highest academic performer from the most expensive or the most prestigious university anymore. It means now you hire the person with passion, the one with hustle, who's learned something on their own because they care, and the one who's obsessed with solving a big problem. At Shopify, we think about talent very differently. We often, instead of hiring for experience, hire for potential. We hire people with an owner mindset, an owner mentality, people that act like they are the owner of the business, and of course, those that thrive on change. And we're building a culture at Shopify that understands that failure is very important as an ingredient for success. Sometimes I think that it's hard for people in Canada to talk about failure. There's this stigma, and one we need to change fast. Because the reality is, for anyone who decides to start a company today, the cost of failure is not what it was for my grandfather or even my father. The cost of failing as an entrepreneur today has never been lower. When I think back to my first company, when I was 13 years old and I wanted to start that DJ company, the most important ingredient I required was capital. I needed money. Capital used to be the most important ingredient to starting a business. And if you go back 5,000 years, it was exactly the same. The number one ingredient to starting a company has always been capital. But something has changed. Something dramatic has happened in the last 5 years. And from an entrepreneurial perspective, it's a wonderful thing. No longer are resources the most important ingredient to starting a business. Today, it's about resourcefulness. And no longer is capital as important. Now it's about creativity. Today, the ingredients for success are changing. You don't need a rich parent. You don't need a famous last name to start a company. You need hustle, passion, and persistence. And we have a lot of that hustle here in Canada. but I also see a lot of that hustle coming into Canada, and we need more of that. When you look at billion-dollar startups, over 51% of them were founded by immigrants, and this includes Toby at Shopify. StatsCan tells us that immigrants are more likely to start a business than people born here in Canada. Now forget the why for a second of that. That is the reality we live in. Thanks to the immigration announcement that happened this week, we will now have more immediate access to global talent. And I'm happy to see this government listening to the needs of Canadian companies and ensuring the barriers of growth are coming down. Because if you want to build a great headquarters in Canada and not just satellite sales offices, you need to scale. In order to scale, you need to hire the right people. Shopify currently has over 1,500 highly skilled people, and we're adding hundreds more next year alone. These foreign hires are often the teachers who transfer skills into our company and back into our local talent pool. And skills transfer is very important to us, not just from other countries, but also from within Canada. If you go back to Canada's first ever innovation paper in 2002, one of the recommendations was enabling relationships between community and university. And I couldn't agree more. A couple weeks ago, Shopify announced a partnership with Carleton University called BCS, or the Bachelor of Computer Science. We've created a program with Carleton whereby first-year computer science students will do their entire four-year degree at Shopify. It's an amazing opportunity for these students. It's exciting to be here and be part of this conversation on big ideas driving Canadian innovation forward. There's a lot going on, and I'm happy to see the Government of Canada has made innovation a national priority. What I hope this means is also a commitment to this concept of thrive on change. And the truth is, I'm more excited than ever about entrepreneurship. There's never been a better time to build businesses, and I couldn't be happier to be doing my life's work at Shopify, helping the next generation of entrepreneurs take their big ideas and make them a reality. So let's thrive on change, let's do things and tell people, and let's get shit done. Thank you very much.